Are you living to your highest potential? Hi, my name's Elizabeth Eleanor, and I'm an intuitive empath that has been challenged to do 365 days here on YouTube. Share my story. I've done 27 years now of spiritual awakening, and I had a crazy journey from the very start. The way I woke up was um, a bit of a funny story. Went and saw a psychic and didn't believe in her, didn't believe what she had to say. I had 3 shooting stars. I've had some crazy experiences and journey, and I'm just here sharing my beliefs, my story, and all the things after 27 years. I'm an empath and healer. So I work with women mainly and some men to really support them to live to their highest potential with a process called recoding, right? By really connecting in with the universe and your intuitive wisdom, higher self, all of the things, right? And I want to share that it hasn't always been like this. I started out as a massage therapist. And I grew up in a place called Blacktown, which is um, the western suburbs of Sydney. So anyone that knows Sydney will be going, oh my God, she's from Blacktown. It was really hard for me to share that this is where I was from. And that's where my roots are because it was a really it was known and had a reputation for not the nicest place in the world, socio-economic. Anyone heard of Anita Cobby would know that that's one of the things that, people go, okay, that's where she's from. So there was a murder of a beautiful woman, young girl. She was a beauty pageant uh, woman, and she went to my school. I didn't know her. My brothers did. And yeah, she was murdered in a paddock not very far from where I lived. So you can say that, one of the things that Blacktown was known for was Ugg boots and flannelette shirts, which these days is not, is being made a little bit more modern and fashionable. But back then it was a Westie, what do you call it? Clothing logo, really. And it's not the easiest place to live when you are an empath. And so I grew up in a family that I wanted to be a nurse because my dad was on a kidney machine, and I wanted to nurse him back to health. And I remember my dad died when I was 15, and I was like, wanting to grow and expand and really discover who I am and what my soul came here to do. And I remember in those formative years when I was really sort of breaking through all of that stuff with my mum. And I said to her, you said I could be a nurse, but why didn't you tell me I could be a doctor? That was the sort of energy in our house that, you could only do to a certain level, right? Don't exceed that what you're capable of, right? There was no dreaming and visioning into something that was bigger and better and that you could strive for. So I became a remedial massage therapist after being in a relationship that was not the nicest. It was emotionally abusive. It wasn't physically abusive, but it was emotionally abusive. Both, no fault whatsoever of either of us. We were both broken, dysfunctional people trying to look for love and healing in the other person, and we were young and naive and didn't know what we were doing. And so, when I started growing and I had children and went, okay, it's time to sort of start getting my shit together. That's when I moved away from that experience, and I became a remedial massage therapist. And I had no idea of my capability. I didn't believe in myself. I I look back and I, just recently uh, had a bit of a conversation with my past self and sort of spoke to her about some of the things that she was experiencing, like tsunamis of emotional trauma, like just waves and waves of disappointment and sadness and depression and anxiety and not good enough and not worthy and, like this battle of day-to-day stuff over and over again, smashing me over the head. And just something internally, some sort of internal whisper that was saying, there's more, there's more, there's more. And finding that really hard because I wasn't seeing it in my life. And I now come to where I am now, where I'm like, I've only just started and I have got this beautiful skill of being able to intuit people's energy and pick up the vibrations where they're holding back, the constraints, what it is that their soul is tethering them, whether it's genetic, whether it's a past life, whether it's conditioning from this childhood, this life, right? Beliefs, emotions, an event, all of these things that I can just pinpoint with accuracy, that I had no idea that I had that capability as a young girl. I was just seen, I just knew I was sensitive and too sensitive, right? I didn't see it as being empathic. I saw that I was just, too emotional and felt too much and, all of the things, like, oh, you just, love too much or you're being a wuss, right? And all of those things that used to come up and put me down, and I would put myself down. But that very thing that was holding me in that pattern of being too sensitive ended up being my superpower. Excuse me. And so through that superpower, I now have this ability to interact, and I know that there's more to come. I know that this is just the start of a bigger, wider journey for me. So what's holding you back from living at that higher frequency, at what your soul came here to experience? Because if you believe that you can only manage this rung of the ladder, right? That you're not for those higher rungs to live up in the mountains, in the freedom of the air being crisp and clean and up there with the clouds and the stars. I would beg to differ, because we all have the ability to move the needle, to keep striving for more. And it just means taking that really tight hand that you've gripped on that ladder run and just starting to let go a little bit, like even just loosening the grip. Because I remember the moment when there was this moment of, do I want to keep feeling the darkness and this tsunami that I'm already familiar with? Or am I going to step into the darkness of the unknown that scares the crap out of me? Because both of them were dark. And I just knew that I needed to pick one. And I'd been picking the wrong one over and over and over again. And it was not getting me anywhere. And it just felt like crap. There was days that I didn't want to be here and tried not to, right? And I remember that moment where I just said, I'm going to I prefer this one, even though I don't know what it's like on that side, but it's got to be better than this darkness. And just that thought gave this little glimmer of hope. And I just let go of the rung a little bit more. Actually, it was so tight that it was just this little let go and was enough to move forward. So what are you holding the rung with now? What are you holding on to so tightly? Because even though it's painful, even though you're suffering through it, even though you believe that you only deserve this, what is it that you can let go a little bit and get a little bit more hope? Because what that did was it just slowly helped me maneuver a little bit. And I had 2 kids in tow when I made this decision. So I send this beautiful energy of where I'm at now, living right next to the marina. I walk to, down the road and there's ocean and yachts all parked. I live in a gorgeous house. I've got an amazing, amazing man from, my maiden name was Payne and his last name is Makepeace, destined to be together. Will do anything for me and I'll do anything for him. It's just amazing. A great business, amazing clients, all the things that she just didn't know if it was possible for her. So where you're at now, what sort of message can you share with your past self? When I was in the depths of despair, I had this moment. I'd gone past that moment with letting go of the ladder, and I left my partner, and it was scary, right? But each time it got a little bit easier. And I remember having this vision. I was living in Cairns at the time in Holloway's Beach, and I was doing it tough. We didn't have a fridge. There was a whole heap of stuff going on. And I remember this vision of myself sitting on a chair with a cup of tea, looking out on a veranda with the rainforest in front of me, and my feet were on a balcony rail. And the feeling I was having was I've made it. And I had this vision. Well, a couple of weeks later, I have the vision again. And then I have it again, and I have it again. And I start realizing that actually this is my future self giving me a message. Keep going. You're on the right track. You've got further to go. You're going to make it. Well, years later, I moved up to Atherton, Tablelands, and I was living in Atherton. I was living in this absolutely beautiful rainforest house. It had a huge balcony. The balcony would have been as big as the house itself. There was 250-year-old kauri pines in the backyard. I think I've shared this in another video. I used to put a mattress out and have a mosquito net and sleep of a nighttime in the summer, of like outside sometimes, and there'd be fireflies like in the the beautiful movies, right? It was beautiful. It was a stunning place. And I remember this one day, I made myself a cup of tea. I sat in the lounge chair that I had. I put my feet up on the railing and I had this moment where I call it an illumination point. I have this moment where something just felt different. And I realized that this was the moment that I had sent back to my past self and given her that image to keep going. So, of course, in that moment, I intended and set the intention to send that message, that vision back to her, because everything's happening in the now moment, right? So right now, what is your moment that you can share with your past self and send back that image so that they know that they achieved whatever it is that you know that you've achieved, that she or he was struggling with way back then? What wisdom can you give? What advice? Give it right now. Just spend that one moment, close your eyes and just set in the intention. That's all you got to do. I set the intention to send this information back to my past self. Send it in an image, send it in words, however you want to, just so that that past self keeps moving forward. So I tune into my future self He's given me the information now to do the same thing. So how can you tune into your future, and what is it that your future self is sharing, so that you can start taking those incremental steps towards that right now? Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Before I go, if you are enjoying this series, or if this is your first time, please subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. That would be awesome. If you got any value out of this video, please give me a thumbs up so I know the type of information that my audience is wanting. And if you want to write a comment of anything that you'd like to ask me, then I can definitely add it into the next 365 days. I don't know how many I've got, 350 or something. I don't know. Less than that, because I'm at day 49 today, which is cool because I grew up in a house that was 49. That was the number of the house. So take care, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll catch you soon.